Most cities build skyscrapers to look powerful, impressive, or futuristic. London. London built skyscrapers that melted cars, blinded pilots, and bent themselves on purpose. And here's the craziest part. None of this was an accident. These buildings look bizarre because London's skyline is controlled by a rule so strange. It forces architects to design skyscrapers in ways no other city on Earth would allow. Today, we're going inside the bizarre shapes of London's weirdest towers, and by the end, you'll know the ridiculous reason they were built like this. Our first stop is the building that became internet famous for all the wrong reasons. 20 Fenchurch Street, better known as the Walkie talkie. People said it looked silly, but that wasn't the problem. The problem was the heat ray. Because of the tower's curved glass, sunlight concentrated onto the street like a giant magnifying glass. One guy literally parked his Jaguar for 2 hours, and the car started melting. Plastic, mirrors, paint, warped. Shops started reporting burned doormats, scorched tiles, and fried bikes. People joked the building needed an off switch, but the city didn't laugh. They put heat sensors on the sidewalk. And the craziest part? Architects never meant for it to curve that way. They only bent the building because London wouldn't let them build a normal rectangle. Hold that thought. We'll come back to it, because this same rule affects everything. The walkie-talkie was embarrassing, but London's most iconic skyscraper, the Shard, hides a problem almost no one knows. From a distance, it looks perfect. But pilots flying into Heathrow, they have a different nickname for it: the lighthouse. The Shard is so reflective that depending on the time of year, its glass flashes light into the sky bright enough to distract pilots. Engineers had to run simulations to make sure the reflections wouldn't blind drivers on nearby roads. And here's where the pattern starts to show. The Shard didn't become tall because London wanted a super skyscraper. It became tall because it couldn't expand sideways. Why? Again, the same rule. Our next stop is the skyscraper that looks like someone sliced a normal building in half with a giant knife. 122 Leadenhall Street, better known as the cheese grater. Its real name sounds boring. Its shape is anything but. That massive diagonal slice on the front of the tower, that wasn't a style choice. It wasn't an engineering trick. And it definitely wasn't built that way to stand out. The cheese grater is shaped like that because it had to lean backward, almost like it's scared of something behind it. Here's why. If the tower went straight up like a normal skyscraper, it would block one of London's most important protected views of St. Paul's. And in London, blocking a view of St. Paul's is basically the fastest way to get your entire project cancelled. So architects took a normal building and shaved off an entire face of it, literally cut it into a giant wedge just so sunlight could still hit the cathedral from miles away. The result is a skyscraper that looks like it's permanently leaning away, because it is. Even the elevator system had to be redesigned. The building is so slanted that its elevators run diagonally inside the frame, making it one of the strangest lift systems in London. And of course, this never would have happened in any other city, because once again, the shape wasn't chosen. It was forced. Next up, 30 St. Mary Axe, or as the internet calls it, the Gherkin. People think it's shaped like this just to look cool. Nope, the real reason is stability. Most cities allow wide bases and normal rectangular floors. London restricted the footprint so much that engineers had to squeeze the tower in on multiple sides, creating a perfect aerodynamic cone. That weird spiral you see on the outside, it's not aesthetic, it's ventilation. They had to twist the glass so wind could pass through the building instead of slamming into it, because the footprint rule forced it to be thinner than normal. 3 buildings, 3 bizarre designs, all caused by the same invisible force. Time for the reveal. London has something called protected view corridors. These are invisible lines drawn across the entire city that protect specific views of historic landmarks, mostly St. Paul's Cathedral. If your building blocks even 1 degree of the skyline inside those lines, your design gets rejected instantly. So architects are forced to bend towers, taper them, twist them, carve chunks out, or stretch them vertically, not because they want to, but because London's old skyline has more authority than its new one. This is why London's skyscrapers look like they were designed by 5 different people who never met. And now the final twist. London didn't accidentally build one of the world's weirdest skylines. It accidentally engineered it. Every strange angle, every curve, every bizarre reflection, all traced back to a rule created to protect a single cathedral built 300 years before skyscrapers ever existed. London didn't shape its skyscrapers. Its skyscrapers were shaped by history. And if you love discovering the hidden stories behind famous buildings, subscribe.